Hello, Rachel here. Now it's the 5th of November 2024. It's US election day. Now I give these cosmic energy updates and reports only when I feel like there's something to say. And for those of you who have known me on Facebook, I was hacked, deleted, banished on the 11th of October. So since then, it's been a big lesson for me in where else can I put the information that I've got to share with people. So there was something that was really brought through me, channeled through me. Sometimes it comes through and out of my mouth, and sometimes it's in written typed form. And this time it was just type it out and then look it back as though, did I write this? So it was that. And over the past few years, I've kind of got used to just putting that on Facebook. Now that I don't have Facebook, I need to think a little bit more strategically about, who wants to read or listen to what I've got to say and where. So if you are on my newsletter email list, then this that I'm about to say here has already gone out on my newsletter. I'll pop a link under here if you would like to receive my newsletter. I won't always put the information on YouTube as well, but in this case, I'm doing the same information. The cosmic energy that we are currently under, the collective energy, is really shouting at me to say something, to show up and say something. I am going to, in this case, read what I've already written because I won't be able to replicate off the cuff the way that it came through in writing. So in this case, I am actually reading. Quite often I just sit here and channel. But in this case, I'm reading. So don't mind me. Okay. So there are quite a lot of pauses for thought and journal prompts and things for reflection. As you're watching this, you might want to pause it and come back to it, make some notes. However you want to use it, go for it. So, as the US heads towards election day, I can't help noticing all of the number eights involved. It was 8 years ago since Donald Trump ran for election, and today I can't help feeling a sense of karmic rerun. 8 years, and we're in a universal 8 year. That election took place on November the 8th. Now, the number 8 is a big energy and it often spells out karma, recapitulation, and that notion of growing, growing, growing so big that there's like a boom and a bust energy. It's like the bubble's going to burst. And that's the energy I'm feeling. And you can take that any way you want. Okay. So what I want to ask is, what do you see on the horizon? As Pluto edges ever out of the clutches of Capricorn, what do you think will happen? I mean, what do you think will happen to us all collectively in our shared future? Sun in Scorpio season helps us to shed light on the true undertones of any situation and to deeply transform, to go within, to excavate what's underneath all of those layers, and to find your own inner truth and inner light. Intuitively, I feel that the collective awakening happens in much a similar way to an individual awakening, like the micro pattern, the macro pattern. Anyone who has transformed their life from the inside out, and I'm going to take that's most people who would be a match for me and watching my video. Anyone who's done that has had to take off heavy layers of conditioning, past karmic actions, faulty limiting beliefs, outdated thinking and patterns of behaviour. You may have had to recover from trauma responses that were making you show up in stunted ways or not show up, and then choosing change and choosing to then be the change. Now, the US election in November 2016 came off the back of the UK's shambles that was the Brexit referendum that we had in June 2016, aka lie on the side of a bus and repeat propaganda as though it's 1939, and you just think that the public are so malleable they're going to swallow it. And it really always used to stick with me that their slogan was "Take Back Control," because it just felt like a complete joke. It's like, who's taking back control by writing a little X in a box? Bullshit, just bullshit. But at the same time, I couldn't help but notice that a lot of people were actually going through a conscious awakening process of their own and reclaiming their sovereignty. It was happening on an individual level. So this brings us on to future leadership. So in conscious communities, we hear a lot about leadership of the future. Many of us are working towards creating a new shared future for vastly better outcomes on planet Earth. And it's why we bother to dig deep and go through our own personal awakening, choose to rebuild our lives and come out the other side. It's why we show up day after day to help heal, align, and direct conscious leadership of the future. We're helping each other out by collaborating, sharing our gifts, assisting one another in new and remarkable ways, in the hope that our future world can be vastly better than it has been. And when we pool our resources like this, healing, learning, and creating together, we become so much greater than the sum of our parts. Now, just thinking about a collective awakening as being like a personal one, I can't help but liken this period of time in world leadership and politics to how it feels when you go through a personal transformation story. Sun in Scorpio season is the perfect time to reflect upon your own personal transformation, and that's obviously going to be layered and have many themes, have many spirals to it. Back in 2016, I was deep in my Pluto square Pluto transit and experiencing major personal crisis, confusion, new levels of awareness being presented to me all the time, where I was questioning power, control, coercion, figuring out who to trust, and wrestling with so much. It was like my soul was leading me towards transformation, but my human self was desperately trying to clutch onto old beliefs, resisting the death of my inner good girl. A part of me still wanted so much to toe the party line, be nice and acceptable. I thought I could save far more of myself than turned out to be the case. There was a lot more releasing at every stage that I had to do to, get down to the real me. And, obviously that's a process. That's an iterative, never-ending process. There were many more moments of horror before I really got the memo to allow myself to burn to the ground and re-emerge as the raging phoenix who finds her voice and demands rightful change, the kind that comes from the womb of the dark feminine, roaring her loud, sacred no. I'd bottled up my inner good girl so long I felt like a volcano spitting fire by the time I got round to speaking my truth. I felt like Mother Earth and all of the goddess energy just came up through me, shaking the ground with rage as she rose up with her demands for righteous change. And this is the true feminine awakening. Not all just love and light and bypassing. No way. There is so much to fight back against. So, with that in mind, what has changed for you in this last 8 years? Surface level politics may not have appeared to move on much, but I want to focus your attention on what has changed for you this last 8 years. For me, I no longer recognise any authority that doesn't feel right. I won't waste 1 ounce of my precious energy on old systems, behaviours, and ways of being that don't come from the heart and soul first. In fact, I only want leaders of the future to be heart first and soul first, light leaders. Anything less is an insult to our incarnation, an insult to our divinity. It's an insult to how much we've lived through and agreed to overcome so that we could stand ready, poised for the next generation. It's beyond time for change. We need a complete overhaul. Politics is on a murky, repetitive loop, manipulated by media and politicians alike. Yet we can't ignore it altogether because the decisions and policies made by governments do have real, material, lasting impact on human lives. It feels to me like the longest ever tower moment, this whole Pluto in Capricorn and the way that politics and big business and what old leadership has been like. It's like, when will this tower moment ever end? Like, stop it. Now, politics, the energy of politics, thrives on division, argument, separation, competition. As an energy, this has been held in this prolonged state of near collapse, like the world's longest ever tower moment, as it battles itself, spits out pointless old arguments, scores points that are utterly worthless when measured by the heart. Politics continues to conscript the public in as though we're bit part players in a crappy coercive relationship. It's like an ex that won't move on. And as Pluto daily moves towards its final exit of Capricorn, I'd love to know, what does your soul feel is happening to us collectively? I know many people who are capable of seeing the future, of visioning that future vision. We all know that future timelines exist already, and working towards those future timelines, living it daily as though you're in it. You're in the brightest, most loving, compassionate, happy, abundant future state that your soul chooses. That is the way to call it to you. That's the way to live it out and be it. Yeah. And I see so many people doing that, being that. And it is the awakened community. It's you and me who are responsible for being the ones who make the brightest, highest visions made manifest on earth and lead others towards their own greatest, grandest vision. Perhaps at this time you're already feeling into your biggest, best collaborations, the ones that bring you the deepest joy, light you up the most, the ones that your soul yearns to grow into and to become most fulfilled. The quality and frequency of those collaborations can be seen in your astrology charts. And I know I've got it in a vision for myself that I will be doing more astrology readings that are for collaborators, business partnerships who have agreed on a soul level to work in union. I can speak to that. And now I want you to ask you another question. Do you have a sense of what will be the price of change? In order for rebirth to exist, something has to be allowed to die. Can you remember what was the price of the changes you had to make when you transformed your life? What did you have to let die off? What was the catalyst? How did you handle it? Was there a tipping point? Was there a time when you went, enough is enough? I have to draw a line in the sand. Can change be graceful, or is that an illusion? Did you do it kicking and screaming like I did? Did you resist it and battle with yourself every step of the way? Did you collapse to the floor? Did you take videos of yourself hyperventilating because you thought you might not make it out alive and that no one in the world would ever believe a word of what you had to say? That was my story. I rather hope you managed things a little bit more gracefully than I did. But if not, I really see you. and it's really okay. You have the utmost permission to be messy and wonderfully human. We live and learn, don't we? And thus future change becomes easier for us, because when we understand the fullness of the transformation journey and all it entails, we can say, I've seen this coming before, I'm just in this phase. A few questions arise as these number 8s are swirling around my mind on this US election day and the collective temperature is rising. What will be the tipping point that sees us transition towards a new Earth? Is it realistic that the transition can ever be smooth? Are there enough of us ready, poised to lead after the collapse? How ready are we? One thing remains steadfast for me, that wealth must be placed in the hands of conscious leaders who are ready, working from the heart, working for freedom for all. We must continue to rise up together in awakened communities to support each other deeply, to lean on each other, to allow ourselves to be as visible and authentic as possible in all our dealings so that our energy is freely moving, radiating peace, joy, love, freedom, and abundance. All of these things are worth fighting for, worth finding the energy to recover so that you can stand strong and sure, leading from your heart. Stable and strong. Who sounds like a politician now? And I want to ask, what are you planning for 2025? I find it so exciting to know how many amazing awakened, heart-centered, conscious leaders I am connected with. And I thank you all for being in my world. I love you all. Now, people like you have really big missions and messages to share with the world. And with this in mind, I'm making a number of business astrology readings available during the last 2 months of 2024. So throughout November and December, I will be offering more business astrology readings because I am guided that the heart-centered, conscious, awakened leaders are right now planning for 2025. And if you want to do that with a heads up of what's on the horizon, get into the correct aligned energy for you, pan out a bit and see what's going on strategically. It feels like a very strategic time right now. Now, my business astrology readings are intensive 2-hour readings, and they can include all areas of your business and strategy. Whatever you want to bring, astrology has the answers. So do let me know if you would like to book one. I'll pop a link under this video. So it just remains to say that I hope that during the intensity of this Sun in Scorpio season, and as we are literally now in the final days of Pluto exiting Capricorn, which it will do on the 19th of November, I hope you're able to hold your nerve, stay present with your own true, beautiful, loving heart energy, and let that radiate out from you, radiating all peace, joy, love, from the diamond light that lives within the heart of you. Thank you so much for watching.